was important though, because I called you up this weekend, I think, and I said, hey, do you notice this market went ballistic 11 minutes after he got shot? And you actually put a whole chart together on it. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So the big thing here, two things. The one thing is that the trend was established back here on July 4th, right here, this swing low. So we had, prior to the incident, right here was the assassination attempt. And so we had basically almost 9 days of movement that had peaked out at about 11.2% rally already prior to it happening, right? And so we can see that we had this previous support becomes resistance here. And then locally, we have this small accumulation range right here. Now, what we had here is we had a dip down below the range before it rockets back up. And this dip is what we call a spring when you have an accumulation or a reaccumulation range. It is the move that kind of catches the breakout traders, the breakdown traders. It fools them, it fools the market into retail, basically, into thinking that price is going to go down. So y'all short on the breakdown below support, which, is what you're taught to do. Not necessarily what you should do, but it's the general thing that's online that you guys find for free everywhere. And so it catches you there and it shoots right back up. Immediately you're underwater. You have to cover your shorts and go long if you want to get in it, or it goes up. You're too heavily leveraged and it hits your liquidation pretty quick. But what happens here is, so overall, we were expecting price to kind of head up, continue heading up anyway, because the trend is up. And you can notice that we do have these higher lows up here toward this resistance. And then we had the range here developing as this, what appeared here with the volume and price action as a reaccumulation, going to head up higher. So overall, my expectation was that we would continue higher anyway. We did get a strong reaction, though, a reaction off the news of the assassination attempt, a positive reaction. I like to see this from Bitcoin. I like to see that when there's potentially something bad that happens, people go into Bitcoin. And this is something Gary was talking about as well. We like to see that. My big thing was, do we continue up? Because you're going to get a lot of knee-jerk reactions to news events, okay? Because, again, most of the market are the bigger players, and many of them, much of them, run algorithms that parse news events, and they look for specific words, and they're trained to look at those words and go, okay, are these words together here bullish or bearish, likely bullish or bearish for the market? And they automatically buy or sell. And so that's why you'll often get an immediate knee-jerk reaction move in price when it goes, when there's a news event, guys, okay? So we had the initial movement. So this is great. It hits this resistance up here. And my thinking here was, okay, do we get follow through now? Now, I expected us to get follow through because, again, that's what I was looking for coming off the low here, still heading up higher. But that's what we got. We brought it up a little bit further, pulled back, and rallied up. And so what's happened now? Well, again, prior to the assassination attempt here, we had already rallied just over 11%. Since it, we've rallied, we just went for a little bit higher here, almost 12%. So we've had a great, in total off the swing low here, we've rallied almost 22%. So,
yeah. So, hey, where you are right before the rally started back last week, Friday. No, go backwards. I want to just remind the audience, but if you look to the left of the first blue vertical line, I want to remind everyone, there was 44,000 Bitcoin dumped by the German government horrifically. I mean, in the most poorly signal way, which drove Bitcoin. Maybe it didn't solely drive it down. My bid was definitely $1,000 cheaper than it normally would have been, as I'm setting bids there, knowing that they're a seller. So I do believe that some of that selling drove that price down to this point, and we've had a 22% move since then, right? You're saying basically assassination attempt wouldn't happen. We'd still be pretty much in the same zone today.
Yeah, we would have rallied up higher. I'm not sure we would be right here just yet, or maybe we'd be higher, but yeah, overall we would have continued higher is what I believe would have happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think this 53.7 is a point that's going to be hard to visit again? Or are we going to try to visit it? If we were to visit that number again, how long does that take for us to go play with that?
Right now, I don't believe we do. And the reason being here, we had some things happen. So again, we've got this range, this descending range here. And we had this move down below here. What it did was it took this liquidity off this May 1st swing low. So it took that liquidity off there, dropped down into this, what we call a fair value gap right here. And so it's a low volume node. So these are all the things that are happening at one point here. And I always tell people, don't enter a trade just because there's a chance. Look for a higher confidence trade, which means multiple things happening at once that make it more likely than not that you're going to be correct in what you think is going to happen. So this is the setup. We've got all these things happening. We have this, what we call a pin bar candle here, which closed right around the S1 pivot. So we say that the S1 pivot held this support, pin bar on support. It also dipped just below the range low here. So again, in terms of Wyckoff, we're looking at this volume decline all the way through this range here, spike of volume as we get down here to the range low here, large demand wick, suggests this is a spring. So we've got all this happening at this one area. Also, we had bullish divergence happening between the low on June 24th and the low here on July 5th. So we had higher lows here. Let me pull this up. We had higher lows here in oversold, and price was lower lows at that same point. So that's what we call a bullish divergence. Divergences can happen anywhere in the oscillator, but they're strongest when they happen in oversold or overbought. So again, we have all these things happening right here. Man, this suggests it's probably the low. Now, since then, the other thing that's happened is we've rallied up impulsively and closed yesterday above the daily pivot here. We got a spike of volume with that. Large candle spread is what we like to see. So if we can close back above this and we can kind of break out a little bit higher here, I think we're probably heading right up toward this R1 pivot on the daily, descending range resistance, right around 70 to 71,000 on that. But if we do kind of close down here, we kind of break down further, then I'm just looking for a pullback down here toward this 59.5, 60,000 area. And I would be looking for a reason to go long at that area to head up for the breakout. So I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. I like what I'm seeing so far here. I like the pullback hits this support level at the EQ, rallies back up. We're leaving this long demand wick. It's showing that buyers are there. Buyers are showing up in spite of the fact we've already had all this rally. Buyers continue to show up. We know ETFs have done incredibly well for a few weeks now again. We just had another 302 million inflows yesterday. And so, I mean, if you need narratives, right? If you're trading or investing and you're looking for narratives, I mean, there are some there. Yeah. There's a lot of things going on there. So I'm hard pressed to be bearish. I've been pretty consistent about the idea that this is, even though my range has changed a little bit over the last few months, still that the volume and price action really are screaming reaccumulation in this area here. We're not seeing my biggest thing. Here's my biggest thing, guys. Listen, if this was to be distribution, what we're going to look for is we're going to look for hard, lot of volume coming in at these swing highs. And what you'll notice is we're not really getting that. Volume overall through the range just continues to die off all the way down. What that's showing you is there's not a lot of conviction in selling, right? When we look here, we expect larger and larger candle spreads. We expect volume to expand all through here. It's barely moved up from where it's at. It's just been a few spikes along the way. The biggest one, obviously, down here at the low, which left the large demand wick. So when I'm looking at that, I'm really hard pressed to go, man, this distribution, the market is not showing us that it is.